Hi, welcome to Secrets of Irving.
Oh, mighty Isis.
The first thing I have to do is mention that in the episode list on IMDb, this is episode 2, and the one we saw last week is episode 3. I'm going in the order that they appear on the DVD, and most other sources that I checked say this is the correct order. There's no thread of continuity through any of these, so it really doesn't matter. I just feel like being pedantic today. We start out by meeting our main characters, Jenny Nelson and her dad, Chuck. They've been doing some grocery shopping, and Jenny just spotted a friend of hers parking his bike and going into the store.
Look, Dad. That boy, he's taking Jimmy's bike. You've got to stop him.
He's gone.
You could have stopped him. Why didn't you?
I don't want to get involved. I can't afford to.
He's done time for burglary, and he's scared to death of the police. He's afraid if he intervenes in something like that, they'll find an excuse to try and send him away again. Cut to Andrea's lab. We're subtly learning that Cindy is Andrea's lab assistant when Rick comes in, perusing the paper's travel section. Andrea knows exactly what he's thinking about.
So you saw that adventure movie last night, too?
You know my every move, don't you? You know, you should have been a detective.
No, thank you. I prefer to teach chemistry.
I'm plenty busy doing this and being a part-time Egyptian museum tour guide.
But just think, Miss Thomas, if you were a detective, you could solve all the mysterious burglaries around town.
I haven't heard about those.
I haven't heard about those.
Tut talks, who knew? Somehow she's missed the big news story of the day. Somebody is stealing industrial diamonds and making a haul. The police can't catch them.
Well, I can't believe it's anyone from around here. Must be an out-of-town group.
You see? You're already acting like a detective.
All right. But I still prefer to teach chemistry. Right, Tut?
Right, Tut?
If I was Cindy's dad, I would go broke giving that smile just about anything it asked for. At Jenny's house, Chuck has a visitor.
Tom Jenkins, Mr. Nelson. I'm with the insurance company, remember?
Yes, Mr. Jenkins, I remember you very well.
He helped put Jenny's dad in prison. He's an insurance investigator and a sleazeball, which makes sense considering that insurance and sleaze are synonymous. The recent diamond thefts resemble the style that Chuck used to use, and industrial diamonds were his thing when he was on the wrong side of the law. Jenkins asks, "Where were you last night?" Chuck says, "My wife was out of town, so I was at home looking after my daughter." Jenkins accepts it for now and leaves.
You weren't home last night.
I had to tell him that.
You always taught me to tell the truth. Why did you lie to him?
I had no choice. That insurance investigator, Mr. Jenkins, is the man who helped send me to prison.
And you think he can do it again? But how can he if you just tell the truth?
He'd never believe me.
At school, Jenny is morose and unresponsive. Cindy convinces her to talk to Miss Thomas.
Miss Thomas, what do you do if you're not sure, but someone you love you think is doing something wrong?
If you're not sure, Jenny, you should give them the benefit of your love. Why not believe the best instead of the worst?
Jenny says, "I'm trying, but I'm not sure I can." She lays it all out for Andrea. But when she gets home, there's a surprise waiting.
You feel better.
Much. And to prove it to you, I'm going to make you a terrific dinner.
Yeah, what a nice surprise.
Well, I want to make it up to you for the way I've been behaving.
Well, I'm glad you changed your mind about me. But how would you like to cook that dinner for me up at Lake Horton?
We're going away?
Right now. Your bag's all packed and already in the car.
A string of burglaries, an investigator hassles him, and he's leaving town. That's not suspicious at all.
I thought you might enjoy a little vacation in the woods.
Where did all this money come from?
A friend of mine, he paid me back some money he owed me.
Neither is that. Andrea says believe the best, but he's going out of his way to make her believe the worst.
Does that have anything to do with why we're leaving so quickly?
No, sweetheart, I just wanted to get away for a while.
Dad, do you want to get away or run away?
When Jenny doesn't show up for school the next day, the Andrea trio goes looking for her. A neighbor says they went camping. Cindy feels like she should know where, but can't pull the name out of her head. No, that's where it is. She wrote it on a piece of paper and rolled it up and stuck it in her ear. Now she can't find it.
Got it! The north point of Lake Horton. That's where Jenny's dad took her camping last time.
Listen, why don't you two go ahead? I'll catch up with you in a minute.
I wonder what Andrea's going to do.
Mighty Isis.
Well, I certainly didn't see that coming. She flies up to the lake to talk to Jenny and Chuck. They've had another argument and Jenny's gone for a walk. She's not hurt, but that log has her foot pinned. She calls for help, but she wasn't exactly expecting what she gets. She makes it look easy, doesn't she? She tells Jenny it's time to really believe in her father.
Jenny, sometimes things aren't what they appear to be. You must try to understand him.
I will try, Isis. I really will.
Good girl, Jenny.
You get a biscuit and a pat on the head. Once they're back home, Chuck gets another visit from insurance sleazeball. He wants Chuck's help to set a trap for the thieves. Basically, he has a list of industrial diamond outfits that his company insures, and he wants Chuck to study it and try to sort out where these guys will strike next. Chuck studies all the details, including security arrangements, and comes to a conclusion.
I'd say the Landon Company's the best bet.
Why?
Well, they just received a big new shipment. The factory's isolated, and they have an alarm system that's easy to knock out.
Well, when this is all over, I'm going to have to tell them about that.
What's your plan?
Well, I'm going to inform the police, and they're going to stake out the landing company and let them do the rest.
Trouble is, he lied. He's headed to a different company because he's decided he has to be the one to catch the thief, because he's so much more qualified to do it than the police are. And since he has a record for this sort of thing, all the real thief has to do is say, "No, he's a crook and I caught him," and Chuck is up the river again. Not exactly a brilliant plan. Nothing is happening at the landing company, so Rick and Andrea go to call Chuck and ask if he's sure this is the right place. Elsewhere, we see a furtive figure slip through a door.
Hello, Tom.
I think most of us already knew. Now the question Chuck forgot to ask is, which one of them are the police more likely to believe? Jenny tells Andrea where her father is. Andrea sends Rick to inform the police, then she transforms again.
The police will have to say about this.
You think they're going to believe you?
I'll take my chances. Oh, the diamonds?
Yeah, they're right here. Now, I'm the hero, Chuck. I caught you in there, red-handed with the diamonds.
He can't say I didn't warn him.
Slide over, Nelson.
Tom,
ISIS!
that's far enough.
I've caught the burglar. It was Chuck Nelson after all.
No way. I just heard you admit that you did it.
Everybody in this universe appears to know who ISIS is and what she can do, and they still run.
Rise.
Man, if I could do that, imagine the parking tickets!
Lower.
Tom is in custody. I assume Isis will be around to testify at his trial, since she and Chuck were the only ones who heard him confess. Later, we're having a barbecue at the Nelson place. Chuck announces that he got the job he was hoping for, and his wife will be home the next day. Things are looking up.
Daddy, forgive me. I know now that things aren't always what they seem.
Jenny, faith is hard to hold on to. It takes work. But in the end, having faith in someone you love is worth all the effort.
The ushers will now take the morning offering. Okay, it wasn't that preachy. We have some heavy subjects here. 3 episodes in, 2 if you're IMDb, we're talking about professional burglary, a man who's been in prison and is trying to rebuild his life, a crooked insurance investigator who's perfectly willing to ruin an innocent man's life to make himself rich, and a daughter who's lost faith in her father and thinks he might be a criminal. Holy adult topics, Batman! Shazam has kids hassling an old prospector, followed by ISIS with jewel thieves. Was that a jarring transition for anybody? Or did you even notice? I'm going to guess the latter because while these are very adult topics, they're presented at a school child's level since we're seeing most of it through Jenny's eyes. And Jenny is only years old. So we've cast the whole thing at her maturity level and therefore at the audience's level. Jenny's had to deal with her dad being gone for several years because he made a wrong turn. He did his time and he wants to put it all behind him and never be separated from his family again. But circumstances arise that make Jenny wonder if he hasn't gone down that wrong road again. And if he has, what's she supposed to do? How is she supposed to feel? How is she supposed to interact with him? How can she respect him or obey him when he tells her something? These are all questions that fly through your mind as Jenny sits down to talk with Miss Thomas. And when Miss Thomas tells her to have faith in her dad, you hope he doesn't shatter that faith because there's no telling what it'll do to Jenny. And Isis did stuff. She moved a log, so she's strong. She levitated a car, so she's David Copperfield. And she didn't use most of the incantations this time except the one to fly. So maybe those incantations are kind of like the spells in the Harry Potter universe. With a good enough handle on them, you don't have to speak them out loud. Or maybe we didn't have the runtime for the incantations. Whatever the reason, it seems to be her choice whether she does them or not. And it should be her choice. She is a goddess after all. I'm Irving, and I'll see you next time on Secrets of Irving.